Over or under? What's going on, BLV football fans and gridiron gamblers? It's Mitch back here with another week of NFL Week 15 picks. In this video, I give you my over-under selections every single game for Week 15, picking the over or the under for the game total. If that sounds good, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe for weekly NFL picks videos just like this. Not one, not two, but 3 different picks videos every week here on the BLV. My straight up and spread picks, my best bets versus the spread, and this video, the over-under selections. Last week, it was a crazy week. There's no denying it. Upsets left and right on prime time. Games going over in the first half in a Steelers-Patriots game? Huh? So last week, not great. 7-8. Not horrible, not like horrific, not season ending or anything like that, but obviously not our best. 7-8. So this week looking for a bit of a bounce back, but for the first season ever, picking every game over or under. 112, 93-3 is the overall record. Still pretty strong. Looking to continue that strength into week 15. And this is going to be an experience because we have games on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, backup quarterbacks galore, bunch of injuries. It's just craziness. What a Christmas gift we've been given by the NFL. But let's waste no more time. Spike the like button. Let me know your favorite over-under bet in the comment section below and any questions you may have about the card this week. And let's break it down. Starting with Thursday Night Football, which you probably have already seen the game and already know if it went over or under and probably already bet it. I'm going to go under. And this is a little scary because it's in Las Vegas, so obviously weather is not a factor. And that's always a bit scary to take such a low total under in a perfect environment. But we're talking about Aiden O'Connell and Easton Stick. Like, do I really have to say anything else? Easton Stick? Is this man a meme? He's a hockey stick. But you got no Keenan Allen, no Josh Jacobs. Devontae Adams is sick. Unless he has a Michael Jordan flu game, he's probably not going to be great. Like, who's playing at receiver here? Who's playing at quarterback? These offenses just overall have not been good. I mean, the Raiders scored 0 points last week. 0. They got shut out, and they lost 3-0. And the Raiders defense, I think, is underrated. I think the Chargers defense against bad offenses, like we saw them against New England, they shut out New England. Like, they've been decent. So I'm taking the under. I can't imagine. Come on, Easton Stick. All right, you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Let's get to Saturday. 40.5 for the Vikings and the Bengals. I also like the under here, mostly because of Brian Flores and the Vikings defense. I think the Vikings defense is low-key been a top 10 unit this year, and they're just so hard to prepare for. They throw blitzes from all angles. They are constantly aggressive. They're all over quarterbacks, and they're really good at tackling. Like, it's one thing to be aggressive blitzing, but then to also not give up a lot of yards after catch is extremely impressive. I mean, Flores does a great job of figuring out your tendencies and how to play into his aggression through the tendencies of your offense. So I think Browning is going to struggle a little bit with the pre and post snap reads, and he's not Joe Burrow, obviously. The playmakers in this game on both sides certainly scare me a little bit because they can kind of blow things open. But Cincinnati's defense, really good in the red zone, really good at turning it over, and really good at sacking the quarterback at home this year. Nick Mullins, as the quarterback of the Vikings, not expecting much here. Not a big Nick Mullins guy, unless he turns it over multiple times for like scores and something like that. I don't see how this game really becomes a shootout, or else that would be bad news for the Vikings. So I think the Vikings try to kind of make this game mucky and slow and low scoring. So I think it goes under 40.5 here. Next up, 42.5, the Steelers and the Indianapolis Colts. I like the under. And the reason I like the under, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. For one, Mitchell Trubisky. He's not going to score a lot of points on anyone, no matter how bad the Colts defense is. If Trubisky goes out there and puts up a 30 on your head, you've got issues. All right, you might want to retire. You might want to, just go home, okay? But the Steelers, I think, will win, which means I think it will go under. Like, I think the Steelers need to win games that are, like, in the teens or the low 20s. So, for that fact, I got the under. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith expect to be in the lineup. I think the Steelers defense will have a bit of a bounce-back performance. They had a really poor first half against New England. In the second half, they were great. First half, they were really bad. And Indianapolis' offense has been slowing down a bit. Offensive line injuries, Gardner Minshew up and down roller coaster, running backs injured, right? Jonathan Taylor out. Running game hasn't been great as of late. Steelers are pretty good against the run. Like, I think Indianapolis' offense is just kind of trending a little bit down. The Steelers have Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. I like the under here. Next up, 47.5. I'm going to go over with the Broncos and the Lions. I think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton are going to come out and they're going to sling it. I think Sean Payton's going to have a great script versus a terrible Lions defense. He's going to find a million different ways on tape, break them down, and really be able to dice them up. And I expect Russell Wilson to make plays with his legs because the Lions really do struggle with mobile quarterbacks, as we've seen with Justin Fields. I think the Broncos will run it decent enough. And I think Courtland Sutton's going to make a lot of big plays here. And then on the other side, the Lions offense is going to come out with revenge in their hearts. They know they need this game. They've been playing kind of poorly, turning it over. Denver has also been turning it over a lot in terms of their defense is taking it away a lot. Some turnover luck may be on their side. But turnovers can also lead to points. It doesn't always mean defense, right? So I think the Lions offense is going to move the ball on the ground really well. And I think that's going to set themselves into a script that they really like, which is play action pass, hitting those crossers off of play action pass. And I think that Ben Johnson and Sean Payton, the two best coaches in this game, are going to have a absolute showcase on Saturday night. So I think this gets to 50. I think this is going to be a close game, but I think it's going to be high scoring. Something like 30-27, 31-24, pretty high scoring into the 50s. That's what I expect, at least. Moving to Sunday. I like the under in the Bears and the Browns. I like how both defenses set up to defend both offenses. Joe Flacco is going to have minimal protection with his tackles being out for the year. I mean, the Browns were already without their right tackle. Now they're down to their third right tackle. They're down to their second left tackle. Like, they have no tackles left on their depth chart. Batonio's beat up. The run game, Ford is beat up. The Browns have a lot of injuries on defense, but where they're still pretty healthy is the defensive line, specifically the pass rushers. Myles Garrett, especially. I think he's going to give Justin Fields a lot of issues. And I think Justin Fields is going to play the best defense he's played, especially on the road in Cleveland, where they're really, really good, for the first time in a while. Like, Justin Fields has been playing Detroit and really eating up Detroit. But this is a much different beast, especially on the road from Detroit. So I expect both defensive lines to get after the opposing quarterback. I think both teams can defend the run pretty well here. And I think that both teams are going to know that this is going to be a defensive game, a field goal contest, and just don't turn it over. Play it safe. Let our defenses win it. Chicago's defense has been really, really good as of late. Don't count them out. They're really good against the run. Love how they match up with Cleveland. Think they might even win this game in an upset. So I think it's going to be really close. I don't think this is going to get away from Chicago the way it did with Jacksonville, where Jacksonville has to chase, therefore the total going over. I think this is going to stay close the entirety of the game, which means an under. Next up, we've got the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints. I like the over here. Just the first little nudge over the total. I don't know. Something about it. I like the over. Tommy DeVito and Brian Daboll. That combination has just figured something out. I think the receiving core is playing better than people expected as of late. Right, Jalen Hyatt's provided some speed. Darius Slayton's been reliable, and Wan'Dale Robinson is that underneath threat. On top of that, the offensive line has been a lot more professional. The Saints' pass rush is really not all that impressive. And I do think that Olave, potentially Shaheed could be back, potentially Taysom could be back. The Saints have enough playmakers to make some plays in this game. So I think the Giants are going to have some nice little drives early, which push the Saints to be aggressive throughout the game. And I think this will go over. Maybe just barely, like a 23-20 type of game. But I think it's going to go over where both teams just squeak into the 20 type of department. That's the way I see the game going, at least. I think the Giants offense right now is underrated. I think the Saints defense right now is overrated. We know the Saints have skill on offense, so I'm going to go over. Next, 37.5 for the Jets and the Dolphins, which is insanely low. I mean, this just feels extremely low for a game that's in Miami. The Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, the team that scored 70 points by themselves one week, has a 37.5. So just because of that, I have to go over. And it's really because of both sides. Like, yeah, I understand. I love the matchup for the Jets defense this week with Miami getting injured on the offensive line. But this is still Miami with a great scheme, a great running game, a good passing game, explosive players at receiver that can make plays that, one score touchdown type of plays that can change games and score in a hurry. So I still lean towards the over because I think the Jets offense can have some success against a defense in Vic Fangio that's pretty soft, pretty conservative. They're not like overly aggressive, and they've got a lot of different injuries. I think they're going to let, some completions be had for Zach Wilson underneath. That's going to make him comfortable. I think the Jets will run the ball decent enough. And I think there's going to be drives where Zach's able to make some plays with his arm or his legs. And overall, I just think people underappreciate, the difference between Zach Wilson and a Tim Boyle in this game. So I'm going to go over 37.5, just an insanely low total for a game that's being played in Miami. Next up, 37, Houston and Tennessee. I'm going to go over, and this is weird to say because Davis Mills could be starting for the Texans, but as long as they have Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz in there, some of their weapons back, I think that the Titans can be had, throwing the ball down the field. We've seen that all year long, and I think the Titans offense is really going to move the ball here. I actually think Will Levis found something last week, DeAndre Hopkins, all that. And the run game is going to be great for the Titans because it's Derrick Henry playing the Texans. So I think that the Titans have a chance to score in like the high 20s, like 24 to 30 points. And I think the Texans could surprise some people with what they do off of play action, kind of sucking up the Titans to defend the run and hitting some plays down the field. I think Davis Mills is still capable, even if CJ Stroud is not playing this game. Next, 34 for the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. I'm going under. It's a crazy low total. I'm going under still. The first game I think was like 21-10, so it was even under this total here. That was the first game of the season where I think Jesse Bates might have had a pick six or at least multiple interceptions in the game. And the Falcons secondary, I think, can handle Carolina's wide receiving core and passing game. The offensive line of the Panthers is a complete mess, and Bryce Young is broken. And then on the other side, the Falcons want to run the ball. They won't really be able to pass the ball that well, I don't think, against Carolina. Carolina, with J.C. Horn in the game, is a lot better on defense. It allows them to have a number one corner that can match up with guys like Drake London. I do think the Falcons will run the ball, control the clock, win this game. But I don't think they're going to blow out Carolina. So I think it's going to be under 34. Next up, 41.5 for Tampa Bay and Green Bay. I like the over because I think both quarterbacks will have success against both secondaries. I think Mike Evans, I don't think Jair is going to be back in this game. I don't know what's going on with that guy. Like, he's never healthy this year. Mike Evans should have a field day against this secondary and a lot of success. Chris Godwin could as well. And I think Baker's playing pretty well, like underrated ball right now. I also think you can run the ball on the Packers. And I think Rachaad White should have a good day as well. So I think the Bucs should be able to do whatever they please in this game and at least get to around 20 to 24 points. Like, we just saw the Giants move the ball pretty easily against that Packer defense, who's struggling with a lot of injuries, specifically in the secondary. And then on the other side, I think Jordan Love could have a big day. Christian Watson or no Christian Watson, I do think there's going to be plays to be had down the field against Tampa Bay, right? I think Tampa Bay is going to stop the run, which they usually do, but that leaves them susceptible to vertical shots down the field, which is what Jordan Love is really good at. So I think that they hit a lot of those plays, and I think there's some explosives to be had for the Packers. This feels like a game that could see a lot of 3-and-outs, but also a lot of explosive plays. So look out for that. I think it's going to go over 41.5. Next, 37, Kansas City and New England. I'm going to go under just because Kansas City is the offense that's powering this game, and they have not been very good themselves. And I really just don't see Kansas City scoring 24 points. And even if they do you think New England's going to score 13? That's also the question, right? So Kansas City, I feel like their limit is 24. I think New England's limit is about 17. Like, that's the way I see it. Kansas City is going to give New England a lot of issues in the passing game with their defense. Like, the way they play man coverage, the way they blitz, it's just not a good combo for New England's offense. I do think New England will run the ball, but that's not really going to lead to a lot of points, really just milking the clock to keep it away from Mahomes. And on the other side, the Chiefs won't be able to run the ball against New England because New England is the best run defense right now in football over the past few weeks. And the secondary is good enough to cover those weak receivers who can barely even catch the ball. So Belichick's been really good against Mahomes. I think that's what makes me believe this will go under even a super low total 37 in New England. Next, 48, San Francisco at Arizona. I'm going to go... Man, this is actually kind of tough. I'm going to go over because I feel like if San Francisco plays their A game, they're probably putting up 40. But at the same time, I feel like there's a chance they could play their C+ game, which would also mean maybe their defense doesn't play that well. And Kyler off of a bye at home, sneaky Arizona. Arizona's offensive line, I think, can block San Francisco low key. Like, I think Kyler's going to make some plays here down the field. And I think they're going to score around 17-20. So me expecting San Fran, the best offense in the league, to at least get to 30. I'm going to lean into the over here, over 48. Not too crazy breakdown like specifics, but Kyler's a good quarterback. They've got a good offensive line. They've got enough receivers and playmakers, especially off a bye. They should be healthier. Had a while to prepare offensively. And then San Francisco is just a well-oiled machine on offense right now. Also, I think there's a couple injuries for San Francisco's defense, like Eric Armstead, which will come into play. Next, 50.5 is a crazy high total for Washington and LA. Just because, I understand LA's offense is awesome, but Washington's offense hasn't been as good of late. I'm going to go with the under. The only reason for that is I understand the Rams defense isn't great. This is just a really high total for two teams that aren't, amazing on offense. If this was Dallas and LA or San Francisco and LA, I could maybe understand a 50. But here, Washington, yeah, they throw the ball a lot. But they also get sacked a lot, right? They're inconsistent on offense. It's hard to know what you're going to get. So it's just too high of a total in 2023 for me, even though it's imperfect environment and all that stuff. I expect the Rams to score around 30, but I don't know. Will Washington even make this game competitive? The way they're playing, it doesn't feel like they will. So I'm going to go under, man. I don't know, man. This is just too high. Next, 50.5, the Buffalo Bills and the Dallas Cowboys, the game of the week. I'm also going to go under here. I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce back performance, back down to earth, I should say, with Dallas's offense. I think they've been playing great football, but a lot of that has come at home. I think on the road in the cold, that's going to impact them a bit as a team that is used to being comfortable at home. I think the Bills' defense right now is actually playing better than people give them credit for, especially early in games. And the Bills' offense seems to start off games really well, but they hit kind of like a point of no return in the second half where they just can't find the same rhythm. Because a lot of what they get in the first half is just Josh Allen being amazing, and then the defense kind of figures out, oh, the receivers really aren't that good. Let's just play them this way. And then eventually the defense adjusts. So I kind of feel like this is a 27-20, 24-20 type of game. I actually don't expect it to get to 31-27. I might be wrong there, but I think the defenses, Dallas's defense might be a tad overrated, But their front, their speed of their front, their blitzing, and their man coverage is going to be tough for Buffalo. And I think Buffalo is a creative defense, and they've got a sneaky good pass rush. I think that they can, like, play this smart against Dak Prescott and maybe force a couple mistakes. So I'm going to go under 50.5. Another crazy high total, especially in Buffalo where it's going to be cold. Next, 42.5 for the Ravens and the Jags. I'm going to go over here. I think that the Ravens are going to score around 30 points, and this could have rain involved in the game, but I just think the Ravens offense is a well-oiled machine. I think they'll run it. I think they'll throw it. I think they're going to get explosive plays from OBJ and Zay Flowers, and maybe even Isaiah Likely or Lamar running it. Feels like they got a rhythm there against LA. And then on the other side, yeah, the Ravens defense is really good, but Trevor Lawrence has been good when he gets behind, Jacksonville turns it on, and they all of a sudden can make a lot of plays. And Lawrence is one of those quarterbacks that he can put the ball in spots where it's just really hard to defend. And even without Christian Kirk, I think they've got enough weaponry to make some plays down the field against Baltimore and sneak in a couple creative runs as well, where Baltimore's been really susceptible to the run, and maybe ETN hits a couple explosive runs here. So I like the over 42.5. That seems a little low for me. And then Monday Night Football, 47.5, Philadelphia, Seattle. I'm going to go over just because as long as it's not raining, I'm not sure what the Seattle weather is going to be like because who knows. But if Geno's playing, I like the over. I feel like he'll be able to make a lot of plays against a very weak Philadelphia secondary and a very vanilla defense in general. I think DK, Lockett could both have huge games here. Hey, maybe even Walker hits a couple big runs. And then on the other side, Seattle's defense has been hit and miss. I think the Eagles can run the ball on Seattle. I think that will open some things up and open up some one-on-one matchups on the outside for A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. Seattle's defense has been very shaky as of late. They allowed over 500 yards to San Francisco, and while the points haven't been there really in terms of those matchups, it felt like San Francisco was able to really move the ball against Seattle, and then Dallas really moved the ball against Seattle. So I feel like another elite offense like Philadelphia, they're maybe a little bit more simple, but they have such a dominant front. I think it's going to be really hard for Seattle to get pressure, really hard for Seattle to stop the run here. So I'm going to go over 47.5 on Monday Night Football. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, Gronk spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Enjoy week number 15. It's Mitch. Good luck on your picks. Good luck on your bets. Peace.